always like to ask people who come on the show what you think your home says about you because it's so personal.
I think it says that I am not fussy.
I love that.
I always tell people that our wallpaper is precious, but I am not. So, a lot of people, when they meet me, they at first are a little bit nervous, I think because our wallpaper is very fancy, but I am undecidedly not fancy. I am kind of a goofball. So that's me. Like I am perfectly happy having like a good old seeded watermelon as dessert. Like you do not need to give me a souffle. Like I am perfectly happy. Yeah. With the simple things.
Welcome to Talk Shop. I'm Ariel Okin, a New York-based interior designer, writer, and editor, looking to bring a little bit of magic into our homes every day. After years as a writer and editor in the interiors world, I founded my own editorial site, Fenimore Lane, in 2020, and the Talk Shop interview series was born. Each week, I delve into the personal experiences of the top interior designers and tastemakers around the globe. This week, I'm thrilled to welcome Jen Gracie, the fifth-generation creative leader of an incredible 125-year-old family business. Gracie creates some of the most beautiful and beloved custom hand-painted wallpapers in the world, utilized by esteemed designers and celebrities around the globe. Founded in 1928 here in New York City, James Gracie originally sold custom lamps and home furnishings until the 1920s, when they began to offer Chinese and Japanese furniture, screens, and porcelain. Soon after, Gracie became the first company to import hand-painted wallpapers to the United States since the 1700s. Today, the studio has showrooms in New York, LA, and Dallas, with several exclusive collaborations with luxury companies such as Aerin, Estee Lauder, Sarah Flint, Stubbs & Wooten, and more. Today's guest is Gracie's creative director, Jen, who oversees the company's day-to-day operations as well as their social media, new collections, inspiration for custom projects, and more. Alongside her brother, Gracie's president, Mike, and her son and sales director, Zach, they continue to carry out Charles Gracie's legacy and maintain the family's generations-long commitment to exceptional design. A proud mother of two, Jen loves to scuba dive and spends her free time painting, baking, and traveling. So please join me as we welcome Jen Gracie to the podcast. Jen, welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you on to kick off our season 3.
Oh, it's so great to see you again. It's been a while.
I know. I'm so happy that you're on and so excited to chat about everything you have going on in the book and all these exciting things. So I just can't wait to chat with you.
Aw, thank you. It's been a lot. It's a busy time. Fun. Start out September this way.
Yeah. Well, to kick off the conversation, we ask everybody who comes on if you can describe your style in 3 words or less.
Eclectic, unpredictable, and colorful.
Oh, I love that. And it's so true, too. I feel like you have your own very unique personal style, which I love.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've always been a treasure hunter. So, people ask what my style is, and I always tell them that it's not a certain era or a certain style or it's not American. It's not any certain aesthetic. I just feel like if I buy things that I love, they will live happily together. And that's the way my house looks. So.
Oh, that makes me so happy. That's really the takeaway that I try to infuse the podcast with in general is to really help people find and hone in on their personal interior style.
And I think that's your style too.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. But it's true because it's the old Billy Baldwin quote, when you buy the things you love, nothing really goes out of style.
So true, right? And beautiful never goes out of style. So
exactly. That's for sure. Well, speaking of beautiful, for those who may not know, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So our family business has been around since 1898. It was started by my great-great-grandfather, James Gracie, founded the business in New York. And our very first location is unfortunately no longer there because it's where Penn Station now stands.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
It is cool. We were able to find that location in a very, very old census record in New York City. And we have a photo of my great-grandfather, Charles R. Gracie, standing on the steps with an old war bond poster in the window. in this old hat. It's actually in our book and it's on our website, a picture of him standing on the step. So we're now in our 6th generation. I'm a 5th generation, along with my brother Mike, and my son Zach is the 6th generation. So it's pretty amazing and unusual to be carrying it on after all this time. And as my dad Brian likes to joke, in no generation have any arms been twisted. So someone has always wanted to do it and had a love for it.
Well, luckily for all of us designers, because Gracie makes truly the most beautiful hand-painted murals and wallpaper, and it's just an incredibly special thing that you guys do. So what a special thing that you've been around for as long as you have.
Thank you. We actually didn't start off making wallpapers. We started off in the antiques business, and my great-great-grandfather made gilded lamps and did restoration. We were actually involved in the renovation of the Waldorf Astoria way back in the early 1900s. But then my great-great-grandfather and great-grandfather had a love for antiques, and they started buying and selling antique wallpapers and restoring them. And then in the 1920s, we segued into actually importing hand-painted wallpapers. So we've been doing that for over 100 years.
Wow. That is so fascinating and so amazing that through the generations, the business has evolved, but it's always been such a stalwart staple of the design industry, which is really, really such an incredible accomplishment. Well, design has always been a part of your life, but what was the moment that you knew that you were going to take on the family business?
It has never been a question in my mind. It's actually something that I wrote about in the book when I was very, very little. My father was the only one in the family who ran the business. He was the only family member involved. So, he didn't have another family member helping him out. My brother and my son and I are very lucky to be doing this together. And I overheard him talking to my mom, Linda, and saying, if nobody else is interested, I don't know, maybe I'll think about selling the business when I'm older. And I burst into tears.
Oh.
And I said, you have to wait for me. So,
oh my God.
I had a love for it from the time I was really little. I loved going on antique spying adventures with my parents, and I loved playing hooky from school, going to the showroom and listening to the salespeople, talk to Mario Boada and Mark Hampton and Ruben de Saavedra, and hear them talking about the wallpapers and going through the display wings and looking at the wallpapers and going through the different rooms of antiques. At that time, we had separate rooms for rose medallion porcelain and blue and white porcelain. And we had a room of Coromandel screens. And we had one room with really, really precious antiques that we kept locked. And I just loved as a 5-year-old walking around the showroom and looking at everything and, studying the antiques. And I always loved it. So I always knew.
I mean, what a way to grow up also in terms of an education. That's something that you could certainly never go to school for.
It's true.
And just to be able to pick all of that up through osmosis is sort of like a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah. As far as the antiques go, I really did learn from going with my parents and having them show me a vase and picking it up and showing me, the glaze and, look at the thickness here and look at the painting here and hold it upside down and look at the base and look at the wear. And this is how you tell a reproduction from a real Ming vase and things like that. Look at the lacquer and look at the cracking. And you can't learn something like that from a book.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's such a fascinating background. And then that path brought you to becoming the creative director too.
It did. I always loved, I was always inspired by color and pattern and getting inspiration from antiques or even seeing a color combination in a flower or a bird wing or fish scales or a coat as someone's walking by on a sidewalk. I mean, ideas can just come from anywhere. It's so wonderful to be able to just have that moment where you see something that sparks an idea and be able to contact my studio and say, let's try this. And then a few weeks later, have a sample show up and see whether you loved your idea or not.
Yeah. And that's a gift. I mean, to be able to see something out in the world and then translate that into real inspiration that can then become something that lives on a wall is not an easy process, and you have to really be able to identify beautiful things in a way that not everybody can. Can you walk us through the process of creating some of these gorgeous hand-painted wallpapers?
Sure. So when we want to develop a new design ourselves, it does still, in that regard, it's the same as doing a custom order with a client. We first want to do a sample, and generally that's a 3 by 5 foot high or 3 by 8 foot tall sample. If I'm doing something that is maybe based on an antique wallpaper, I might do it 8 feet tall because I just want to see more design elements and how they're actually painted, more birds, more flower types and things like that. And so I want to see all of those things in person with my own eyes in terms of the colors and the details. And sometimes I will order a sample with even 3 different segments. I might choose 3 different design colors in the background to make sure that I see a few different variations. I want to try to limit the timeline with getting an order perfect, getting a design perfect. So I may order a few different variations so that I can make a selection quickly because, I'm impatient and I want to get something in front of clients as quickly as possible, as much as I want to get it, for my own satisfaction on our display wings as quickly as possible.
Totally. There's also nothing better than getting that big cardboard cylinder with the Gracie sticker on it. I mean, we all squeal when we get something for a client to look at, a sample.
Well, it's the same for me.
It's the best. I mean, it's just so unparalleled and unmatched in beauty. And whenever we get to open one up in the studio, in our studio, we're just so excited.
Well, we feel the same way. And that's nice to hear too. So, once we get the sample, if we decide to love it, if we don't, we make whatever changes are necessary. But once we decide that we love the colors and the design style, the next step would be deciding what the display wing will look like. And the display wing is large scale. It's 6 feet wide by 8 feet high. We want our clients to be able to see a really large representation of the full scale design, basically how a large section would look on their wall in their own home. I just don't like people to only see a 3 foot wide section. It just doesn't give you enough of a visual of what that expansive design, which is never going to repeat in your room.
Right.
And never going to repeat in anyone else's room. Your room is never going to be like anybody else's room. We don't use templates. We don't use Photoshop. If you order a room for a client and then another designer orders a room for a client, we're hand painting it. Why would we make your room a repeat of another designer's, client's home rooms?
Yeah. And that's what makes it so special because it's original artwork.
Right. Exactly. So I do say that to people too. It's more like a work of art than it is wallpaper, really, when you think about it.
Oh, it absolutely is. And you can see it when you see it in person. It's just breathtaking.
Thank you.
For those who want to get a really good look at all of the amazing, gorgeous Gracie papers through the years, there's now the book, which is so exciting, called The Art of Gracie, printed with Rizzoli and now available. I just got mine in the mail actually today, and I'm so excited to open it.
I can't believe we got it today. That's so exciting.
I know. It was like very fortuitous timing. And the cover is just beyond. It's so gorgeous. That blue is stunning.
Blue is my favorite color, and
mine too.
I'm pretty happy with that cover. Yeah.
It's really special, and I know that it will be a lot of people's wish lists for coffee table books this season.
Oh, thank you.
Can you speak a little bit about the process of working on the book? I think you worked along with Mike on it, and it walks readers through spaces and rooms that feature really a variety of these gorgeous Gracie wallpapers.
My brother, Mike, my son, Zach, and my father, Brian, all worked on it.
Oh, that's so special.
Yeah. So my dad, Brian, actually wrote the introduction. We all worked on it a lot, but we each wrote our own sections of the book. So my dad wrote the intro, and then Zach and Mike and I each wrote sections about just our own experiences and recollections kind of growing up in the business.
So special to have, especially for your son to be able to work on it with your dad. That's just like such a gorgeous family moment.
Thank you. And there is a little bit of the history as well. It was a lot of work. I'm actually really, really happy that no one warned me in advance.
I know. I'm in the middle of, I've officially started my writing process for my book, and I'm in the middle of it now. And I'm writing the book myself. So yes, it is quite the process.
It is. And, when you've been in business as we have been for 126 years, it's a little daunting trying to figure out what to include and what not to include. So that was a little bit overwhelming in the beginning.
I'm sure. And I mean, Gracie Paper is in some of the most famous residential and, famous historical buildings all over the world. So,
yeah. And I can't pretend that I'm not still a little bit heartbroken thinking about rooms that didn't get into the book.
Didn't make it in, I'm sure.
It couldn't be the Gracie Encyclopedia.
Right.
We had to keep it to one for our first book.
No, it's hard. And also each one tells a story, and it was an experience working with a designer or a client. And so I'm sure that's also because it's not, each one is hand painted. So they're all original stories, which is so fascinating to think about.
Then, of course, there are so many rooms that I know about, but that either were never photographed or that the homeowner would not allow to be shown. So those were heartbreakers as well.
I'm sure. I know. It's so hard either not being able to document it or just because it was so long ago, not having any photos.
Yes, there are those, right? I mean, so many beautiful, beautiful rooms that predate high resolution photography.
Well, I'm going to pivot a little bit to some design questions. What is your favorite thing about working within the design industry?
How different every day is for me.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about my particular job in the business is that no day is ever the same as the next. No hour is ever the same as the next. Yeah. I wear many hats in our business, which is one of the things that I love. It suits my personality really well.
And you're so good at it. I love working with you because you know everything inside and out about the business, which is so inspiring.
It's one of the reasons I don't delegate things like the Instagram, because I have a really, really good memory for like every design we've ever done. So
yeah, you do. No, it's like an encyclopedic knowledge, which is like fascinating and also so helpful as a designer when working with you, because you will remember like a detail from somewhere else or suggest something. And that's just always so helpful. And one of my favorite things that I own in the world are the 2 custom panels that you helped me make when I first moved into my house. It was so fun.
I love working with designers just because I love creativity and I love creative people. And I love getting that, hey, Jen, can we do this? Because my answer is always yes, of course.
Yeah.
And that is what is so much fun about our business and my job, is that, that sort of no holes barred aspect of we can do anything.
Yeah. And that's where the best rooms come from too.
Absolutely.
Do you have any good stories to share? Like any really highlight, standout stories of any rooms that you recall working on or loved or?
Oh, I mean, there are some, we've had some really quirky requests.
I'm sure. What's the best, like random request?
Oh, one of the quirkiest ever. We had a request once to include in an order a raccoon reading a restaurant menu, smoking a cigar.
What?
Yeah, smoking a cigar.
That is so random. Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the cool things that you guys do, which I don't know if people know this, when you are making, your custom murals, you can include anything in them. So oftentimes clients will want to customize them or like hide their initials in them or incorporate animals that are meaningful to them or special flowers. Or
we get lots of sweet little requests, which are, we've done many orders like this with something very simple like including a bird's nest. And we will do things like include 3 baby birds if the couple has 3 children. I'm doing an order right now that includes 3 eggs because the mom is pregnant with triplets. So,
that's so sweet.
Yeah. So there will be 2 adult birds who are kind of lovingly perched overlooking the nest for the mom and dad.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
Yeah, it's really sweet. And then we sometimes have requests later on after the order's been installed where a decorative artist will go in and then add, 3 birds to represent the kids as they get
Yeah.
older. So things like that are really, really fun. I did an order once where a bird was flying with a little ribbon in its mouth that had the wedding date of the couple.
Oh, that's so
painted
sweet.
on the ribbon. It's fun. It's fun to do little personalizations like that. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what really I think is one of the things that makes the heritage brand element of Gracie so special is that this becomes heritage to people's homes. And it's a huge part of people's memories of their homes and how these kids grow up. And it's just, it's very, very, very unique what you guys do.
And then some orders are not just, little personalizations added to, one of our, spring orchard designs that's, relatively standard, but made to fit the room. Right. I had a designer come to me once with a photograph that a couple had taken on their honeymoon in Tuscany of this gorgeous view of the rolling, countryside. I mean, how gorgeous is Tuscany? And we painted the entire landscape based on this photograph. So that was an order that was entirely made up from scratch, just 100% custom for them.
That's so fun. I feel like I want to think more out of the box now with the things that we come to.
Here we go.
Here
we go with a new order from
Exactly.
Ariel.
We're going, exactly. Are there any design rules that you always follow, or is there one that you think is like totally made to be broken?
I don't really have a design rule. I can't say that I have a rule, but I'm not a believer in following the current hot trend. Absolutely will not just embrace this year's hot color. I absolutely will not do something like that.
It makes me mad.
Yeah.
I say this all the time, but your home is the biggest investment that you make, or one of them. And it shouldn't be trendy. It should be something that's unabashedly you and is really a reflection of your personality and your interests and your tastes. So I'm totally with you on that.
I think Karl Lagerfeld said the next stop after trendy is trashy.
Yes, it was. And it's such a good, it's funny, but it's also so true.
Yeah, it's a fleeting moment, right? And who wants to deal with that?
No, especially not when it comes to your home. What is some of the best advice for designing interiors you've ever received, and from who?
Well, gosh. So my husband and I just moved into this home in the Hollywood Hills, which is a mid-century home, which I've never lived in before. So this is a total departure. It was built in 1966, which is the year I was born.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's very exciting because I grew up only in, built in 1700s homes in New York. So
yes, I remember you telling me.
Yeah, so this is very exciting. It's up near Mulholland Drive. It has beautiful views. It's very, very mid-century, but we're putting our wallpaper everywhere. This design is actually, sorry, no one's going to see this. It's our new wisteria design that's based on a 17th century Japanese screen pattern. We're doing it on a green silk for one of our guest bedrooms. So we're doing a lot of really traditional designs in this mid-century home. Our dining room will be the only room that has a very modern design that's actually based on one of my watercolor paintings that I did myself.
That's amazing.
That was actually for a Father's Day card I painted for my dad. And he loved it so much that it was his idea to turn it into a modern design, which is one of the most modern designs we've ever had. It's called Squiggles. So we'll do that in our dining room. But everything else is one of our pretty traditional designs. And I do love juxtaposition.
That's what makes great design, the tension.
So my friend Kevin Isbell, who's a very talented designer, is designing our home. And I love him. And I love the fact that he agrees that if you decorate with the things that you love, they will live happily together. So that to me is one of the best bits of advice when it comes to design.
I agree. And oh my God, I can't wait to see it.
I'm excited.
It's going to be great. Kevin's so talented.
He is. Yeah, he's a lot of fun. He's super talented. I love that he's really great at mixing colors and patterns in such a beautiful way. And my home is going to be all about that. So
yeah, especially with all the papers, I feel like it's going to be the juxtaposition of not only it being mid-century architecture with the more classical elements, but also mixing all the different palettes together is so interesting, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, one of our designs called Kano Garden, which is another one based on a Japanese screen, is going in. There's this crazy fireplace that goes from the living room through to the bar. It's a see-through fireplace.
Wow.
You feel like the Rat Pack probably just left,
Yeah.
Some like crazy party. So Kano Garden will go in that room, and there's this crazy cantilevered fireplace, and it's going to be wild. I hope you get to LA. I hope you can come over and see it when it's done.
Yes, I would love to. One year I want to come for Legends, and I'll come.
I'm hoping it'll be done for Legends in May. Maybe you can come out. We'll have a party out in the...
Yes, that would be amazing. Looking back through your career, have you had a mentor at all? I'm sure probably your dad, for sure.
Yeah.
And how have they sort of helped you shape your trajectory?
Really just by listening and going on buying trips with them to England and to our studio in China, and buying trips in Japan. That's been the main way. And also just by learning from a very young age, listening to a lot of our clients when I was very, very young. And as I've grown up, I mean, I still learn from all of our clients, and I love listening to how they talk to their clients about their work and their aesthetic and their beliefs about their own. Everyone has their own take on design. And I learned from you, and I learned from Alexa Hampton, and, all of the people that I respect in this business. And I love how different everyone's taste is, and how different everyone approaches a project. And everyone even approaches a design project, including our wallpaper, from a different standpoint. Some people start with the wallpaper. Some people start with the rug or the fabric that they're choosing for the drapery and choose our wallpaper last. Some people choose it first. It's just really interesting.
Well, we talked a little bit about your home in LA. I always like to ask people who come on the show what you think your home says about you, because it's so personal.
I think it says that I am not fussy.
I love that.
I always tell people that our wallpaper is precious, but I am not. So, a lot of people, when they meet me, they at first are a little bit nervous, I think, because our wallpaper is very fancy, but I am undecidedly not fancy. I am kind of a goofball.
No, you're the best. It's like, and that's so true. It reminds me of like Ina Garten. Like, she seems like
she's so funny and approachable, right?
Yes, exactly. And the recipes are elevated and very luxurious, but it's approachable, and it's warm, and it's fun.
Yeah. And she also would not turn her nose up at like the traditional onion dip that you can make out of the packet.
Exactly. And I feel like that's the best way to be.
Yeah. So that's me. Like I am perfectly happy having like a good old seeded watermelon as dessert. Like, you do not need to give me a souffle. Like, I am perfectly happy. Yeah. With the simple things.
I love that. In my opinion, those are the best kinds of people to hang out with. Do you have any favorite places to shop for home?
I really love a good antiques mall, or like a consignment shop. I think you can find the best things.
Yeah, it's like the gems hidden in the back of the room.
It's really true. It's really true. I love the Pasadena Antiques Mall here in LA.
Yeah.
I have found some really good treasure there. And I love mixed lot auctions too. I don't necessarily love the fancy auctions that are very curated.
I'm addicted to live auctioneers. It's so bad.
Oh my gosh. My only regret is that I need to sleep, because
I know.
the things that I know I am missing online.
It becomes a black hole, because there's just so much great stuff. And like, if you love the thrill of the hunt, then you're constantly looking, and Live Auctioneers just has the most amazing things on there.
Yeah. And I got to give a shout out to Cherish as well. I found such a wonderful, Kevin, I have to give credit to Kevin Isbell. He found this fabulous pair of mid-century armchairs on Cherish that did not have great fabric on them. But then I found Fortuny fabric on eBay.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I was hiking in Runyon Canyon when the lot was ending on eBay. I had to stop to make sure I had a decent signal.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Placed my winning bid on eBay and got the Fortuny fabric that we recovered the Cherish chairs, and we recovered them in an auto body shop on Melrose Avenue.
No way.
In the back does upholstery. I mean, it was just a hilarious story from
That's
beginning
incredible.
to end. Yeah.
I mean, Cherish is incredible, the things that you can find on there. And I'm with you. I think like digging, I like to dig. When things are highly curated, it's almost like you can't find the thrill of what you're looking for, you know?
Can I tell you my method on Cherish? Do we have a minute?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I figure out what I want to look for. Then I change nearest to you. And then I do least expensive first. And then I search through to see what I like best.
It's amazing because you can find the most amazing things like within, a few miles of you.
Because ideally I want it now. So I want to see what I can pick up that's 2 miles from my house.
Right. I know the impulsiveness also of decorating is kind of what makes it fun too, because you're kind of haphazardly mixing things together, but then they end up working.
Yeah. Well, and that way I can go see it and make sure I love it, which is ideal.
Exactly. Well, we do this at the end. We always do our take 10, which are our rapid fire questions. I'm going to start with the first. What is your favorite food?
Watermelon.
Ooh. My daughter's favorite food is watermelon too. It's so, especially in the summer, I mean, there's nothing better than like a ripe, juicy, delicious watermelon.
Caveat, it's got to be seeded. It's got to be crunchy. It's got to have the cracks in the middle. I mean, don't give me a pre-cut, slimy,
watery. Yeah, they're like so gross.
Yeah, got to be perfect.
It has to be from the farm stand.
And second would be like anything fabulous cooked by my husband, because he is the best home chef ever. He's Italian.
So nice.
And he cooks amazing dinners.
What is your favorite drink?
I'm going to be so boring again and say like fresh watermelon juice with a good tequila.
Oh my God, that is not boring. That's like an ideal cocktail.
I would say yes. Yeah, that's good. On a hot summer day, it's pretty ideal.
Yeah, with some lime. That sounds great. Favorite film?
Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House.
Ooh, I have never seen that.
It's so cute. Cary Grant. I mean, it's just, if you love decorating, it's so old school and charming. It's just cute. Followed by Love Actually. They would be both right up there.
My mom and I watch it every Christmas. It's just one of my favorites.
I cry every time.
I know, it's just so good. Yeah. And so happy.
Yeah, it is.
What is your favorite hotel?
The Dorchester in London.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
Second, Kyoto, the Miyako.
Ooh, I have to put that on my list. I've never been to Japan, and my husband and I really, really want to go.
It's so beautiful. Kyoto is gorgeous.
Favorite city?
Rome.
Yeah, Rome is incredible. My best friend from college went abroad to Rome, and one of my greatest regrets is that I didn't go with them.
My husband he was born in Santa Monica, but he grew up between Santa Monica and Rome. So his father's from Rome, and he spent tons of time both. He has dual citizenship. So I just love it there.
Yeah, it's special.
Yeah, it is.
This is a question we ask everyone because I feel like everyone in our industry is so particular about it. Favorite bedding?
Oh, I'm not a snob when it comes to bedding. I
love that.
I'm not. Currently we are sleeping on linen sheets that are so comfy. I mean, we've only washed them once and they are so soft and comfortable, and they're from Brooklinen.
Yeah, Brooklinen's great. They have amazing. Also, if like you're a hot sleeper, I love linen in the summertime.
Yeah, they're so nice for here. I mean, currently it is 100 degrees.
I know it's so hot in LA. My best friend, the one who went abroad in Rome, is in Malibu right now for a wedding, and she just texted me and she said it's 102.
Yeah, it's toasty here.
Yeah. Tea or coffee, and how do you take it?
Coffee, and I only have 1 cup every morning, but I make it myself in a Bialetti.
I love that. So old school. And honestly, they make the best coffee.
They do.
Favorite playlist or music to listen to?
I am so incredibly all over the place when it comes to music. So I have a Spotify constantly going. And my son and my daughter and I have a shared playlist that's really,
oh my God,
really
that's so
fun.
sweet.
It's so much fun. If you don't know about this, so it's this really fun thing that updates every day based on what you have all listened to. So every single day when you go on the playlist, it has changed based on what all three of you listened to.
That's so cool. I have to try that out. And that's so sweet to do with your kids. I love that.
All of my kids have really great taste in music, and I think I'm not too shabby either. So it's really fun. So it's great because fortunately they love the music I grew up with, and then my kids discover new music all the time. So it's really like ideal.
My daughter's 5, but she came home from camp one day this summer and she started singing the Cha-Cha Slide.
Oh, how cute.
And I started singing it with her and she just stopped. Her eyes got so big and she looked at me and she goes, Mommy, that's the Cha-Cha Slide. How do you know that song? And I was like, that's from my childhood.
Oh my God. I mean, in the last day, I've listened to everything from like Pete Townsend to the Doobie Brothers to Teddy Swims. So it's like all over.
Yeah, all over the place. That's how I am too. Favorite weekend activity?
Hiking, painting some watercolors, reading, spending time outside.
Ideal weekend to me.
Yeah.
And our last one is always the hardest for everyone to answer, but what is your favorite design book?
Parrish Hadley, 50 Years of Interior
That
Design.
is a great one. That is like a
classic.
Yes, for sure. Jen, thank you so much for coming on.
This went really fast and was so much fun.
I know. It's so fun to chat with you. I wanted to ask a final few words, just in general right now. Is there anything special that you're working on? Any new projects you can talk about?
Wow, there is a lot. Okay, we have a really fun, beautiful collaboration with Stubbs and Wooten.
Oh my God, that's so fun.
They're really, really fun. We have another beautiful cashmere silk scarf coming out with Sarah Flint.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah. I already have an idea for a second book that's going to be completely different than the first book.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait to dive into my book that I got today.
Oh, I'm so excited for you to see it.
I can't wait. It's so gorgeous.
Send me a DM. Let me know what you think.
I will.
Did you open the box yet? Did you see the edges of the book?
Yes, it's so special.
Yeah, I was very excited about the decorated page edges.
Yeah, no, it's just perfectly on point for the brand. And we can't wait to celebrate you at the launch.
Yeah, we're going to start hitting the road. We'll be doing book tour dates.
I know. There's the party in a couple weeks. I know. We're so excited. Well, the last question that we have for everyone when they come on is, what advice do you have for someone looking to define their own interior style?
I would say there are so many places now to look. I am old school. I love turning pages. So I will never not have a library of books or a pile of magazines. I love magazines. I do tear pages out. I am a big believer in mood boards. I love them. I do think that it helps so much to snip things out of magazines. I think it really, really helps if you're looking to figure out what you want your dining room to look like. Go ahead, cut out that picture of a magazine that you love and then figure out what is it that you love about it. Is it just the color palette? Is it that you fell in love with the style of the table, the chairs, the overall color scheme? Is it just that you loved the chandelier? I mean, that will all help you hone in on your style. So I just think that's where you have to begin.
I love that. And it's something that we always get a lot of feedback from listeners who are always saying, I know when I like a picture, but I can't really tell, what it is that I like. And we always say, everybody who always comes on says the importance of just continually exposing your eye in different ways, whether it's travel and reading and books and magazines and pulling those reference items out, and then you will start to see the pattern, and then you'll see what you love.
What is it? Is it clean? Is it modern? Is it cozy? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Jen, thank you so much. This was so fun.
Thank you.
Where can listeners find more about you and Gracie?
I am the keeper of the Instagram. I have never delegated, even though people have
Which
told
I love.
me I should.
No, I love that it's you. It's like so authentic.
Thanks. But yeah, you can find our website. You can find me on Instagram. I am having more trouble keeping up with DMs, so I apologize in advance about that.
It's hard. I know. I am too.
Hard.
It's difficult.
But, I always tell people, if I don't answer your DM, I will definitely see an email. So please send me an email if it's important. I will definitely not overlook that.
Yes. Well, Jen, this was such a pleasure. I'm so excited for you about the book and everything you have going on. And I can't wait to see you soon.
Me too.
And I'm just so grateful that you were on. So thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to give you a hug.
I know, me too.
All right, Ariel, have a great weekend.
Thank you so much. You too. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. That's a wrap for this week's episode of Talk Shop. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with more thoughtful discussions and amazing guests. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube so you never miss an episode. And of course, follow me at Ariel Okin. See you next week.